From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Leading the next generation when it comes to conservation.
And they said, you can come back if you want. If you don't, we'll just shut it down. And I thought, no, I don't, please don't do that.
We head to the Arkansas-Mississippi Delta to talk with one farmer who spent her childhood between the rows. Prices are higher at the grocery store, but one item has been hit particularly hard.
Prices are as high as has ever been.
See what's behind the rise in prices for OJ. As planting moves to the finish line, we turn our focus on how the crops are doing. The latest reports right now on AgDay.
AgDay, presented by Pioneer. What's next happens when the name on the cap matches the power of one's purpose. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
Good morning, I'm Griffiths. 95% of the nation's corn crop is now in the ground. That's right on par with the 5-year average. And it comes despite a recent rash of severe weather pushing across the Midwest. And right now, the corn is looking pretty good out there with 74% of the crop rated in good to excellent condition. That leaves only 5% in poor to very poor shape. That compares to the same time last year when only 51% of the corn crop was in the good to excellent categories. Meanwhile, soybean planting is still rolling along with 87% of the crop now in the ground. That's 3% ahead of the 5-year average. And we're getting our first look at the condition of that crop with 72% rated good to excellent. Only 4% of the soybean crop is rated poor to very poor.
You have to consider that just about every week in the Midwest has been at or above average on temperatures. So what's been planted, although it's been spread out over a number of weeks, is emerging and growing for the most part. 85% corn emergence on June 9th, 1 point ahead of the 5-year average.
Winter wheat harvest is also starting to pick up pace with 12% now cut. Crews right now making progress in Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. That's running about 6% ahead of the 5-year average nationally. From high heat to heavy rains, meteorologist Martin Lorimore takes a look at what's on the way for the South.
Yeah, continuing the hot and humid weather across most of the country, seeing temperatures reaching upwards again into those triple digits across a lot of the nation. You can see here as we get into that Wednesday, it is going to be a warm one. We'll be seeing a lot of those temperatures very, very hot across most of the country. Granted, we will start trying to cool down a little bit as we get into our last little bit of our day, but still going to be looking at very, very warm temperatures as we head into tomorrow with triple digits back once again across most of the country. You see 90s stretching in very high into the country, all the way up towards Chicago, sitting at 94 for that high temperature on your Thursday. It's going to be a warm one for that Thursday. Very little rainfall. Is this high pressure going to be letting us really develop? There could be a handful of these showers across some areas just to the east of that high pressure, and this could spark up a handful of stronger storms, but not going to be anything widespread. We're kind of in June and settled in to that calmer and unfortunately much warmer pattern across most of the country. This will continue as we head into that Friday and Saturday with that high pressure scooting its way into the eastern part of the nation. Take a look at this right here. Oh, Cody Etter from Cloverdale, Ohio, putting together plant 24 in the rearview mirror. He said, unfortunately, it's a straightened replant for him. He said, hopefully, they can get everything wrapped up in the next couple of days. Good luck to all you guys out there in Cloverdale. I'll have morning forecast coming up.
Now, if you've bought groceries recently, you've obviously noticed you're paying more for food. But some items have really spiked in price, especially orange juice. A breakfast staple is skyrocketing in price, orange juice. Since the beginning of this year, orange juice prices have gone up more than 30% according to Trading Economics, a site that tracks the price of certain commodities, hitting an all-time high in May.
Prices are as high as has ever been.
Yuri Ferris with the Rainforest Alliance says the spike in prices is largely being caused by severe weather changes in Brazil. Brazil is the world's largest producer of oranges, accounting for 75% of all orange juice exports.
So it's a very, very tricky moment for orange juice globally.
Now, most of the orange farms are in Sao Paulo, Brazil, which has been impacted by severe drought. But the orange trees are also being destroyed by disease.
It's called greening, caused by the bacteria that has infested crops all over the world.
Ferris says they're choosing to fight that disease by burning down the crop, and it takes at least 2 to 3 years to grow another orange tree. a lengthy process which likely means prices aren't going down anytime soon. To compensate for the low supply and high demand, orange juice makers are using other citrus fruits to mix with the oranges to create OJ.
In order to maintain consumption, you have to mix it with other products.
But it's not just oranges impacted by drought and climate. Drought is hurting coffee and cocoa beans. It's impacting the price of chocolate and coffee. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is predicting food prices across the board will increase by 2.2% this year. Another issue that could impact food prices, the ag labor crisis. The International Fresh Produce Association releasing 2 reports from Texas A&M University and the Center for North American Studies, finding the average farmer is unable to meet 21% of their labor needs, and that's led to increased reliance on the H-2A visa program, which has surged by 300% since 2012. It now represents 10 to 15% of all agricultural labor jobs. IFPA CEO Kathy Burns warns labor costs are threatening to disrupt the U.S. food supply chain and push the fresh produce industry into crisis. A federal judge is blocking a USDA aid program designed to provide minority and women farmers with disaster relief. A judge in Texas siding with a group of plaintiffs who allege the program illegally discriminates against white male farmers, the judge issuing a preliminary injunction. The USDA program rules provide money to farmers who suffered crop and livestock disasters and pandemic-related income loss, with more aid going to farmers who submitted claims categorizing themselves as socially disadvantaged. Among those considered socially disadvantaged by USDA are American Indian, Asian, Black, Hispanic, or women. But the judge said race-based government classifications violate the Fifth Amendment unless they further a compelling government interest and are narrowly tailored. It was a turnaround on Turnaround Tuesday for wheat. We'll take a look at the grain markets and what's driving the latest trends coming up next. And later, we're off to Arkansas to visit a Delta operation with big plans for the future as the next generation takes over in the country. The Coast Guard plans to reopen the Port of Baltimore Channel following additional dredging. It marks the final step in clearing 50,000 tons of debris. The full reopening of the federal channel, which is expected to bring larger vessels back to Baltimore, is seen as a major milestone. Now, it's reported companies are beginning to schedule shipments to Baltimore with full recovery anticipated by mid-July. The channel has been closed since late March. That's when a cargo ship struck a bridge, forcing that bridge to collapse into the river.
Well, greens were mixed on Tuesday. Matt Bennett is back with analysis. And Matt, it really felt like kind of a corrective day. We had wheat up and row crops down.
Yeah, you know, the wheat market's just gotten smoked the last 9 sessions in a row before coming into today. You know, wheat was up in the 20s part of the day, closed with good gains. But let's face it, this was after, an absolute debacle here recently. Corn and beans had a little bit better day there yesterday. Nothing super exciting, but give some back. You got to think some of this related to the report. Some's probably related to crop condition ratings, but regardless, as far as the corn and beans go, there just wasn't a whole lot of buying going on.
So let's talk about the report coming up later today. Generally, we don't anticipate any adjustments in corn and soybean yield or acreage, right?
Right. I mean, the June report's typically going to be very boring report. The June WASDE, it's not the June report everyone wants to look at. And so, ultimately, you're probably not looking at a whole lot in the way of adjustments. I think the biggest adjustments you could see, of course, would be a little bit related to wheat.
Yeah. And of course, we're waiting for the big acreage numbers at the end of the month. That'll be the big fireworks. Will you see any demand adjustments by USDA?
I don't really expect it personally. If we did, they could probably raise corn demand just a little bit more, but regardless, we've got a lot of corn stocks around. I do think that there's been some folks suggesting maybe you could see, a sub 2 coming up sometime here soon. It's possible. I think maybe by the end of this marketing year, might see it, but I'm not expecting any big time adjustments by any means.
And what about global numbers, especially South America?
Yeah, I think you'll see some adjustment lower as far as global production goes, especially South America. You get into Brazil, Argentina. I do think that you've had some disease issues, of course, in Argentina, some heat and dryness in Brazil. Overall, I think the USDA is too high. They have been too high for quite some time. I kind of expect them to remain too high. But I would expect, just like last month, maybe you see 1 or 2 million metric ton adjustments lower as far as production goes. Yeah, I'm not sure that'll support the market, but it's certainly going to hurt it.
Thanks so much, Matt Bennett with agmarket.net. We'll have more AgDay coming up.
Watch Markets Now with Michelle Rourke on the Farm Journal YouTube channel, keeping you updated throughout the day on the markets at the open, midday, and close. Find out what moved the markets today and what to expect the market to do next.
To contact Matt Bennett at Ag Market, call 844-4AG-MARKET or visit their website at www.agmarket.net.
Welcome back to Ag Day. We're still watching for a very warm next couple of days. Now, most of us will be seeing this high pressure scooting its way into the eastern part of the nation, still keeping the central and southern plains quite warm, but low pressure actually scooting its way into the northwest. It's going to actually cause a little bit of the cooler temperatures. Be blessed. That's all I'm going to say, because the rest of us will be cooking across especially parts of the southern Great Lakes where they're going to be seeing well above average temperatures. I'm talking temperatures getting close to triple digits near Chicago and Cincinnati. So it's going to be a very warm next couple of days as we get into the middle part of that June. So the drought monitor we're watching right now as we get closer toward New Mexico. Now we're expecting to see a little bit of rain across some parts of this area, especially across eastern New Mexico, where they could be finally seeing a little bit of that relief to this drought. But again, only part of the country still sitting in that exceptional as of right now. And I want to move you to Florida, where they're still actually seeing parts severe and moderate drought here right now on the drought monitor. But we're actually watching for the first tropical system of the year. Not really a tropical storm, but just a system moving its way over low pressure. And it's expected to bring several inches of rain across Florida. That's here for the next 24 hours as we pull this to the next week. Look at how much rain they're expected to get in southern Florida. Upwards to 3 to 5 to possibly near a half a foot of rain. Again, definitely going to be helping out. Again, a little bit of that rainfall across parts of eastern New Mexico. Definitely could use a handful of these small risks for our Thursday. We had throughout the rest of the day, but luckily not expecting widespread severe weather by the next couple of days, because high pressure remaining over the area, sticking us with this heat dome. It's just not going to go anywhere. Might scoot to the east, but it's just going to be staying across most of the nation as we head into our Tuesday and Wednesday. That high pressure, that heat dome, not going anywhere. Speaking of Florida, Everglades City, no surprise here. Rain, pretty warm, high 85 degrees. Route, Colorado, a little bit cooler, high 82. Sunny skies. And finally, Somerset, Pennsylvania, beautiful day, high 73 degrees.
Pork exports start strong to begin the year. We have the latest numbers next. And later we're off to Arkansas to meet a next-gen producer building on a family legacy while charting her own path forward in the country. U.S. pork exports posted another strong month in April. The U.S. Meat Export Federation reporting pork saw terrific growth year on year. Globally, it adds up to almost 278,000 metric tons. That's up 14%. And it reports a big increase in value as well globally at almost $780 million, up 18%. Now, once again, the leader of the month was Mexico.
Similar to 2023, the momentum continues in 2024 for Mexico. Absolutely a monster month in April, over 107,000 metric tons, which is up 34%. And the value side for April for Mexico, $240 million, up 61%. Keep in mind, you're comparing this to records from a year ago. So needless to say, food service, retail, the trade for further processing, appears that U.S. pork continues to hit on all cylinders in Mexico.
Asia and Latin America also reporting strong pork exports in April. One county in California is looking to ban large poultry and livestock operations. It's known in Sonoma County as Measure J. The animal activist group Direct Action Everywhere led the effort to get the measure on the November ballot. The group claims the operations they label as factory farms pollute the environment and mistreat animals through closed confinement. Meanwhile, farmers view the measure as an attack on their livelihood and argue it would force many to either downsize or shut down, which would have significant economic repercussions. If passed, Sonoma County would be the first county in the U.S. to implement such a ban. The Sonoma County Farm Bureau estimates the measure would impact at least 60 poultry and livestock operations. Now, building a better future is the goal of farming operations everywhere. Up next, we'll see how one next-gen farmer in Arkansas is pursuing that goal thanks to her family's legacy in the country. We're focusing on the future of the ag industry as we profile the next generation of farmers. Well, today we meet a producer who operates a soybean, corn, and rice farm in the Arkansas-Mississippi Delta. She was also the winner of this year's Top Producer Next Gen Award, Hallie Schaffner. The work never stops, even if the machines do at SFR Seed in Newport, Arkansas.
I haven't milled this all the way, but it's good.
Hallie Schaffner is focused on potential at her 2,000-acre operation, a family business specializing in seed production and research. Hallie is carrying on a mission her mother started back in 1988.
She trained me in how to increase pure seed stock of soybeans and rice. And it's been a journey of me learning what she did and then adopting new practices in the field, particularly in terms of rice work.
Which is somewhat new to the operation, now growing and maintaining about 20 different rice varieties in partnership with USDA.
We've been very lucky to have them helping us out in the field so that we can build our own rice purity program.
Raised in these fields, Hallie spent her childhood between the rows.
When I was little, my mom gave me an option. She said, you can go to church with your grandmother or you can go scout cotton with your dad. And that, as a kid, that's an easy choice, right? Because he would take me to McDonald's and we'd get, which he still does today. We'd stop and he'd say, go pick me 100 squares. And so we'd go out, we'd pick them, bring them back to the tailgate, open them up, look for bugs. And those are some of my best memories with my dad.
After college, encouraged to get out of ag, she lived all over the world. From Nashville to India, back to Seattle to Arkansas, then Peru and Spain.
I tried a lot of different things. I tried grant writing, I tried nonprofit work, I tried marketing, and I really didn't find anywhere where I fit in.
But agriculture was calling.
My dad needed to retire because he got his dementia diagnosis, and they said, you can come back if you want. If you don't, we'll just shut it down. And I thought, no, I don't, please don't do that.
Working with her mother, in 2019, she took the lead as CEO and continues to focus on growing the business, searching for opportunities in specialty crops and value-added production.
But in the Delta, we're so focused on commodities, we're so focused on volume that we kind of lose perspective on the specialty work. And there is a push now, knowing that the Delta has water and places like California do not. You know, there's going to be a big push for specialty work here in the South.
And she's doing it while focusing on sustainability.
Farmers are doing their part to combat the 10% carbon emissions that we are contributing to greenhouse gases. We need support from other industries. If we're making the investments in technology that we need to become more environmentally sustainable, other industries need to do so as well.
An exciting future built on the gifts from the past.
I'm extremely privileged. I come from a long history of farming. I'm a 6th-generation farmer. I will inherit land that's been in our family for over 100 years.
A mission learned from those days in the fields with her father and from watching her mother, the scientist.
I watched her walk confidently into every room and speak her mind. She was the expert. And I knew that I could do anything because I saw her do anything, right?
Confidence and precision. She's pouring into every day as she works to carry on a legacy of innovation.
I'm proud to be a farmer. Like I said, farmers are the ultimate innovators. We have been since the agricultural revolution 10,000 years ago. And I just am proud to be a part of that generation.
Congratulations to Hallie Schaffner, the 2024 Top Producer Next Gen Award winner. Now, if you'd like to read more about Hallie Schaffner and other next-gen farmers, along with great advice on welcoming these young folks back to the farm, be sure to pick up the latest issues of Farm Journal and Top Producer Magazine. You can also visit agweb.com this week for a host of stories and related content. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Griffiths. Have a great day out on the farm.